to adopt the agenda.
Second?
Second.
All right, all those in favor, state so by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, passes unanimously. Any community comments today?
I have one.
Okay.
Sure. I just wanted to say that I had written a letter to the email to all of the representatives and school board. Everything was on the list from the other night. Just, hey, concerned parent, we have some concerns. I'm just gonna paraphrase it quick. Our kid's been there, going there for 4 years. There's a lot of rumors. There's all these things going on. We'd like some assurances that, CCPS and FLDOE are committed to keeping it open. Are you behind the school or not? I had a lengthy email I sent out to all the representatives, and I got 2 responses, which I like to read if it's okay.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't what I expected as a response. I'm looking for some reassurance as a concerned parent. And I got one back from Jennifer Mitchell. It says, it appears that once again, your board leadership has directed your school community to email us, come to our meetings, and demand that we do this. I'm not sure what this was, but this, that, or the other thing, without giving you any clear indication of what truly is going on. The rumors, quote, come directly from your own leadership. So they're blaming the board. Our agendas are posted on our district website 1 week in advance. If you look, you will see that MCA doesn't appear on our agenda. I have no idea why you are being told to attend, but I can only guess that your board is feeling threatened by the application of a new charter school seeking approval. The irony of that is beyond thick. What happened to parent choice and free markets? And people voting with their feet? I don't even know what that means. Once again, you are being used to deliver a message without full knowledge of what really is going on. It's scary to me that so many people do just what they're told without asking any questions. Because obviously I haven't done any research. It's very sad that MCA can't just focus on educating their students, but instead continues to waste district time and resources. We have 57 other schools to worry about. Perhaps your next email should be to your own board to ask why they are constantly asking you to email us and attend our meetings. Have a great day. That was one. I got one more response. It's a little shorter. This one was from Stephanie Lucarelli. Dear Mr. Falco, I'm so sorry. You continually feel your school is being attacked, but your anchor at this board is misplaced. Unfortunately, you have been given incorrect information. Mason Classical Academy is not on our agenda, nor has it been a topic of discussion. Okay, anyway, this board, it's only a couple more lines. This board has made it clear that it wishes to keep MCA open. It doesn't say how, which I've read into. I would love to do nothing more than all of us for just to move on. Please encourage your board to do the same. And I have a response I'm gonna send, and I'll end it there. But along the lines of, is this not the same board that threatened to terminate the charter in August? And I shouldn't be concerned. So I am gonna respond, but I just thought I'd share that because there's no reassurance here at all. And it's like, don't bother us. We're busy, we got 57 other schools to worry about. So.
It's about time we do, frankly.
Okay,
Anyway.
thank you for sharing. We really appreciate that, and likely we'll address that in board comments. Are there any other community?
Yes, one more community.
Yeah.
I just wanted to also say along those lines, I had received some information from someone I'm in close communication with who attends one of the local political party meetings weekly here in Naples. And the person communicated to me that someone from Optima was at that meeting encouraging people in this party, one specific political party, to attend the school board meeting to support MCA. So I find it interesting that we're being told why should you be there, but others are being told to be there. So I'm wondering if the folks who are there to show up for MCA are gonna receive the same kind of response that Mr. Falco received.
In addition, my comments are that our families received an email from Naples Classical Academy announcing and inviting our families and our staff.
Poaching.
Yes, poaching. Without permission, an unsolicited email was sent to all of our families and staff. And there was a lot of outrage that I received in an email format from families that were concerned that they were invited as they're perfectly happy where they are, and they didn't know where this came from, and they wanted to know if we were behind it. So there's a lot of issues with the email that went out from Naples Classical Academy, and as the principal of the school, I feel that it was something that was duping our families and I think it was deceiving, and I'm very concerned about the deception. And I don't know how the lists were received, because I've done a complete audit of our staff, and to my knowledge, nobody has shared a list unless it was a previous employee, which I do know from my own research, 2 of our previous employees are working with Optima.
Thank you.
I have a question for that to the board too, or its recommendation. I'm not familiar with all of the civil limitations on that sharing of data, but that type of usage of the data without permission may have some civil liability issues for the individuals who did it. I would just ask the board to maybe contact legal counsel and just advise, should we be taking any action, since that was done, those emails were used without the permission and consent for that purpose of the individuals who those emails were sent to. I think I would just like to offer that as a suggestion that we investigate that matter.
Yeah, I don't think that's legal.
All right, any other community comments? All right, we're gonna get to the new business, and the purpose of this meeting is the attorney letter. I spoke to the attorneys, and they felt because the nature of this letter is different from what we have approved as a board, meaning, you know, the first approval we gave was the lawsuit against Joe Baird. Then we also met over break and talked about filing a declaratory action. So because this is different and deals with MCA, actually, they asked that the board meet and approve the letter. So board members, are there any, I guess, changes or suggestions you would like to make regarding the letter that you all can send?
I have none.
Okay. Is there-
Mr. Greer, any suggestions?
Apparently so.
Is there a motion to approve?
I make a motion to approve.
I second.
Okay, any other discussion on it? Okay, all those in favor, state so by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, passes unanimously. All right, I will let them know they plan to have that hand delivered today. So we'll, just so everyone's aware. The next thing is board comments. Are there any board members that wish to comment today?
I mean, one thing, as we were just discussing, I mean, we can direct it towards CCPS and hopefully they'll take that in consideration in their approval. The actual wrongdoer, I think, is the organization that sent that. That isn't allowed. It isn't allowed to spam people first off anyway, but much less when you're doing that for a financial gain, to steal somebody else's, to use somebody else's client list to steal those clients. I mean, that's essentially what it is. I know these are parents, but I mean, I don't believe that that's legal. I think that we should look further into any implications with MCA directly. Also, I know with MailChimp that actually if you send unsolicited emails and you report it, you're not allowed to ever use that service again, and they can actually even disable the website depending on the browser. So I wasn't able to do it because I didn't actually receive the email, so it wasn't even obviously just a blanket list. It was definitely a targeted list, so that they saw people who they knew that were more interested in MCA. You know, we were removed from that list. But if anybody else did receive that, I think there's a link at the bottom that you can report that was not consented to, and the company will look into whether that's allowed, and that they won't ever be allowed to use that service again. But I guess my only point is I would like to look a little bit more towards NCA itself and using that, because I don't think that that's allowed or even legal.
And on that topic, at this point, I've been doing a little bit of research to find out if other charter school families were targeted for this school, and at this time, it does not appear to be the case. So it appears to be specifically targeted towards our parents. I have talked to conversations with parents who did do just that, where they reported that they never signed up to receive anything from NCA. I clearly think this was a list that was taken, by a former employee, and used selectively. Cause obviously none of the board members.
I didn't get one either.
Yeah, so I think they picked who they should send it to.
Well, I did
Oh.
receive one,
Oh, you did? Okay.
and I know some of the people that want to change. And they know I'm not in their camp, but we did receive one. So it's just a pointed list they must
Yeah.
have.
Did you have anything else?
No,
Daniel?
that's it.
Did you have anything?
No, I was just gonna say, I thought the town hall was excellent.
Yeah, very good, well done.
Yeah, and it,
You
just,
did a great job.
reinforced why, Mason Classical Academy is a special place, and, why we are, taking the actions that we're doing to keep it, moving forward.
Anyone else?
I just have a suggestion, I have some parents that I do talk to, and English is not their first language, and they are having some confusion in some of the things that are being explained. I have one parent that said to me, someone told her that NCA was, Kelly Lectures. So,
Similar tactics, the way they got the governor's letter signed. They said the only way to save Mason is to sign this petition, and some people.
and I
don't find
think,
that.
the reason why it is a little bit concerning to me is, I think, because I'm from I'm from another country, a lot of the parents that are from other countries do come up and speak to me, and there has been some confusion among the parents. I was speaking to one family, and, they were under the impression that Hillsdale was doing so much for Mason and we were gonna struggle without Hillsdale. And, I think, a statement my daughter made to me is, out of her class of 22, only 4 kids are American families. Everybody else is from another country, another culture. So I think, I don't know if it's possible to do everything, but some communication, I think maybe Spanish would, if we could have a translation in Spanish,
Yeah.
because I've been trying to dissect some of the emails for a better understanding, and I see some struggles. So that would be one of the things I would encourage us to look into doing, because they're using the fact that English is not their first language
That's a good
as a way
suggestion.
of confusing some of the parents.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. Is that something, we have someone on staff that can help with that? Perfect.
So
I think Creole also, another.
Creole, yes, I
Yes,
was
I
just
have
gonna
that.
say
I have
Creole.
I have a employee, I have 3 employees that have kids,
Mhm.
here, and the one he's Haitian, and I don't think his family was really understood or really knew at all what was going on beyond what I, explained to them, but they had no idea.
And the email that went out was great email about the call, from the staff about different things, if they're concerned, what they could do, but they didn't understand, because it's not in their original language, and
Right.
they would have to depend on their children to explain it to them, and I don't think all the kids are grasping, depend on what year they're in. So that was my biggest concern. I would agree, Creole and Spanish, I think, would be possibly 2 of the main, and I don't know if there are some other languages, but I don't think we can do all languages.
Sounds like a very good suggestion. Thank you for bringing that up. Did you have anything?
I just think it's very telling what came through those emails to Mr. Falco. For them to say that this has not been an area of discussion is just ludicrous. But, the concern about another, of course we would be excited if there were so much demand, if there was a huge wait list, from parents who are very interested in classical education. There was demand for a second school, and this was legitimately a new classical school to contribute to the educational opportunities in Collier County, but it's obviously not, because it's a school that has no enrollment, has done only a tiny fraction of the 2-year preparation period to submit the charter, or to open a school after submitting a charter. No sufficient wait list, and we know from public records requests exactly the conversation that's been going on about opening the school to replace Mason. So I just wanted to get that out there for any parents that have any question that might be convinced by by similar sentiments or letters as Mr. Falco received, that that's absolutely not the case.
Well, and to that point, the whole thing on free market and school choice, I think everyone sitting here is very supportive of that.
Absolutely.
However, it's not free market when you go and trash and destroy an organization to prop yourself up. That's not free market.
Right.
Or taking over is not free, that's not free market.
And when you abuse the system and abuse the law by using an arm of the government to choose winners and losers, that's not okay.
That's absolutely correct. And to Mr. Falco's comments regarding Jen Mitchell, I mean, she's talking about how we're misinforming the parents. Either she's just saying that to say it, or she doesn't really know what's going on. Can the school board members like Mitchell and Lucarelli claim that they're not aware of all these things happening behind the scenes with John Fishbane, Kamala Patton, Jim Fox? I mean, because there are countless records that show what's actually going on. So perhaps they need to be informed if they're not. And then they keep talking about we should move on. That's what we've been asking for since the 2017 renewal. We thought this whole attack on the school was over after we got the 15-year contract. And they never moved on because they haven't accomplished their mission, which is to destroy the school. The other thing I wanted to let the board members know, I spoke with the attorney. Mr. Baird did hire an attorney, which I'm sure you all can guess, it's Todd Allen. He filed a motion for an extension. To me, it's a delay tactic, but that's the update, that there has been a response from Mr. Baird. Finally, I just want to comment on the Naples Daily News article. If you haven't seen it, it's extremely disappointing. I gave this through the PR firm. They set up this interview. I said, I'll give her another shot. We spoke for 10 minutes and she barely put anything that I said of substance in the article.
Yeah, on that note, I went through and I tallied up the number of words that they quoted from Chad Oliver and the number of words that they quoted from Mrs. Lichter, and they quoted 64 words from Chad Oliver and 14 from Mrs. Lichter.
And what I noticed she did, she kept bringing back up issues like Sunshine Law and FERPA, and like it's like, hey everyone, I'm gonna remind you of what Fishbane falsely accused everyone of, but she really didn't focus on the fact that the Coleman report exonerated the school and provided factual evidence that said they did not they did not violate Sunshine, they did not violate FERPA, and I think what Mr. Lewis said at the town hall, you've got two reports that are very different, and the Fishbane report is not supported with actual evidence. He didn't conduct any interviews of the accused, and then you've got the Coleman report, and still the district has not responded to any of that as far as the substance. And that's the thing I talked to the reporter mostly about is what can they argue is factually inaccurate about the Coleman report, and we haven't heard anything. They continue to say, oh, we're just spent a bunch of money to get the narrative that we wanted. So my question to them is, if that's the case, you're gonna claim that Michael Coleman just lied, fell on his sword for all of us, just to get the narrative that we wanted and paid for. That's absolutely absurd. It's insulting to Mr. Coleman. Hopefully he'll speak up about it, but anyway, that's what I have to say. And to Jen Mitchell and Stephanie, if you're watching, I'm sure you are, you guys need to move on and let us continue the success here. And you know, really, we've actually lifted the district scores for the last several years. You know, you should actually be supportive of that, but, so that's all I got. Anything else?
No, this is a concerted effort, as appears it was, by John Fishbane and his boss, Kamala Patton, to do the damage to this school. And if all our elected officials are actually just saying what they're being told to say, as is the media locally, I think that that letter to Mr. Falco is particularly ludicrous in accusing our parents of doing that. I think they ought to, look at their own camp.
I just found it amusing that they said that we need to focus on educating the kids when we're the #1 school in every category. I mean,
And they need
they
to
have a
focus
much
on their other
larger
schools.
budget, why don't they, I think that's what they should focus on.
They need to focus on their other schools.
Well, and it's just interesting, one more comment on this, anybody that has sent something supportive of Mason gets these condescending, rude responses from these elected officials, and by the way, I'm a former school board member, even if something's not on the agenda, every person has the right to petition their government and speak for 3 minutes at general public comment. To me, she's sending you the message like, you're not welcome there because you're supportive of the school. If you were anti-MCA, John Fishman would be asking for your phone number so he could call you.
On the weekend.
So, that's a difference, right, Mr. Fishman? Anyway, I don't have anything else, anybody? Alright,
No.
meeting adjourned, thank you.